Well, folks, week 2 is upon us. What do we have on the slate this week? Well, of course, like Chris and I said, we got some pretty interesting games. And one, we can go ahead and kick it off, Chris. The big showdown in Norman, Oklahoma. Yes, the Oklahoma Sooners are hosting the Michigan Wolverines. OU comes in as a 5.5 point favorite, Chris. Over under is at 45.5. So this is going to be an interesting game. You have freshman versus a guy that's already been established in John Mateer. Taking on a young up and comer known as Bryce Underwood. So a guy that's just come into this Michigan Wolverine offense, and he had a really good showing against New Mexico last week, and now he gets to take on a guy that's a seasoned vet in John Mateer. I think this game, Chris, this might be a high-scoring affair. I'm not gonna lie. I think both of these teams, their offenses this season, they're very electric, and I think this game may definitely come down to the wire by the time it hits fourth quarter.
Yeah, I can see that too, Kory. It almost kind of feels like if Bryce Underwood, the top high school football player last season, true freshman quarterback for the Wolverines, this could be the game where he really puts the nation on notice and might even expedite the timeline for Michigan football because we are both very high on Oklahoma. We feel like Oklahoma despite their rigorous schedule, this is a team that's built to make a run to possibly make the college football playoff. And if a true freshman can lead the Wolverines over this Oklahoma team, whose head coach has a lot of pressure on him, he needs this one. If Michigan can find a way to leave Norman with the dub, and you saw Ohio State, they weren't ground beaters this past, the last week against Texas. They didn't just, dump Texas. That was an ugly game. It was a rough game. You're not necessarily you had no reason to be fearful of Ohio State. You've been dominating Ohio State. And you look at the rest of the competition, you feel good about your chances against the Penn State, Oregon, USC, Illinois, to name several teams. Hey man, this could really let us know if Michigan really can win the league this year or not. And if they win this game, they are a certified contender in my eyes, Kory.
Understood. Understood, man. I think this is definitely going to be a big test for both teams. Out the gate, I'm interested in seeing both of these teams' defenses. I really want to see some more defensive football. I know last week we saw a lot of it, but this game, I look at this game just like I looked at the game between LSU and Clemson. I think this game, both teams are definitely going to set the edge. I don't want to be too cliche about that, but I think this game is going to come down to who's going to wear out who first. And I think that's going to be interesting to see. And it's also going to be interesting to see some of these skill players as well perform. I want to see what Blaylock and Justice Haynes does for Michigan. Blaylock, is a really good running back for Oklahoma. Saw him a little bit in last week's game. I want to see what the O-lines do also in this game as well. I want to see, who's going to turn it up a notch. I think both teams had a really good tune-up game to kick off the season. But I think having this game in week 2, we're going to find out a lot from both of these teams, from both of these quarterbacks, and yeah, I can't wait to see what happens. If I had to put a score, Chris, um, Oklahoma's they're in Norman. That's a good thing for them. I'm going to go out and say I'm going to say Oklahoma wins this game by a touchdown. I'm going to go on a limb and say Oklahoma 31, Michigan 24.
Okay. Okay. Um, yeah, I've honestly been struggling with this game as of late. Heading into the season, I just felt very confident in Oklahoma being able to defend home field. Thought they would actually win this game handedly. Um, but I like what I saw from Michigan. I like you mentioned, Haynes. He looked like the guy that Alabama fans were sick to see leave. He put on a great performance week 1, and just Michigan is just a hard team to pick against, Kory, in the sense just they clearly know how to win. It's in their DNA. The last few seasons, man, they just find ways to win games that you don't think they should win. When you want to count Michigan out, Michigan finds a way to get the dub. And my heart is leaning towards giving Michigan this game. And so I'm gonna say 24-21 Oklahoma. I'm gonna give the edge to Oklahoma. 24-21. I think it will. This game does have potential to be high scoring. Um, I just think it's going to be a tough game, though. There'll be some points scored. 24-21 isn't, it ain't a Jefferson Pilot. It ain't one of those 10-7 mid 2000s SEC games. But I think the defenses will show up. I will give the edge to Mateer being the veteran quarterback. This is his time. Bryce, we know you're that guy. But I think this is Mateer's time, and I will give the slightest edge to Oklahoma. But trust me, if Michigan leaves Norman with a W, I will not be shocked one bit.
Me either. Me either. I mean, I know you said that you had a little bit of a back and forth in fighting on who was going to win this ball game. I'm not going to lie, Chris. I did too. I ultimately made my decision that I think Oklahoma could win just by the experience. I think the more experienced quarterback is probably going to prevail in this ball game. I mean, I could be wrong. We'll see on Saturday, but it's kind of hard to count out John Mateer, with a better Oklahoma team, better than they were
Mm-hmm.
last year. I definitely could see that they have some fight in them offensively as well as defensively as well, which makes them much more of a competitive and complete team than they were last season. I I don't I don't see how they could possibly lose this ball game. I really don't, unless man they just go sleepwalking in the from the get go, out the gate they go sleepwalking, and Michigan just pounds them from for all 4 quarters. So um, yeah, it's gonna be a fun matchup. Can't wait to see what happens. But yeah, I think if I had to put um, a pick in, it has to be Oklahoma. I think they have what it takes to win this ball game on Saturday.
I'm with you. I'm with you. And just real quick before we go on to the next one, I will say there's two things I'll just keep my eyes on this game. If Michigan excels with these two things, Oklahoma could very well be in trouble. And that's down and distance first and foremost. If Michigan keeps the downs to like a 2nd and 5, you're getting 5 yards, 6 yards on first down, and Yeah, it's very manageable second downs. That'll be key for a young QB on the road to be in a position to make plays. And then, if, secondly, lastly, if Bryce can those third downs, can they contain Bryce? Because if he gets on the run, gets on the loose, and flashes a little bit of that Vince Young ability, he looks like he has to his game. He's built like Vince Young was at Texas. If he showcases those legs and extends plays and gets first downs, that would be why Michigan wins. So that's why I'm going to keep my eyes on. It's just a couple keys to the game that I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays out.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, man, it's gonna be interesting. A lot of talent in this game. That I think that's what makes this the game of the week for a lot of people. Of course, I mean this matchup um, could really showcase who's one of the top dogs in their respective conference. We know what Michigan brings to the table, but they're trying to become a better football team this year, as opposed to what they tried it out there offensively last year. Um, Defense was still good though, but yeah, in terms of Oklahoma, they look pretty much the same way. So it's funny that we're getting the game like this, knowing what both of these teams were like last season, Chris. So this is definitely
Right.
a huge game for both Sharon Moore and Brent Venables this Saturday.
Oh, this is as big as it gets for them both. Honestly, especially Brent, man. He's under fire there. Oklahoma needs to defend home field and get this one um, for his sanity. Because the people in Norman, that's an underrated fan base in the sense of they'll run you out of town too now.
Yeah, people think UT fans around this area are hostile. And there's a couple OU fans that also live around this area, and they get a little hostile. I've seen it. So yeah, you don't want to be 1-1 if you're Brent Venables this season, knowing what we've seen from some teams like South from Alabama, of course. You want to really make a statement this season and get ahead. Because if you don't get ahead of schedule, a lot of teams that you are going to face later on in the season, they're going to be licking their chops by the time they see you on the schedule. So you want to have all hands on deck as soon as possible.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
So yeah, it's gonna be interesting, man. Can't wait to see what happens in this ball game. Should be a fun one. But anything else, Chris, you'd like to add before we move on to our next game?
No, no, just everybody sit back and enjoy the show, enjoy the scenery, because
Exactly.
Norman will be rocking.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. I agree.